Bathed in a crimson glow, the might of the altar struck Cessair with a primal fear, a terror of something older than time itself. He stood at the steps, but could walk no further. His body screamed not to go, yet his fractured mind urged him to do so. Reaching out gently, his fingers grew cold, now barely within inches of passing the veil. He thought about what laid ahead. Over his years, he'd heard stories of the void and what lay beyond it. Demons of horrid poison, timeless kings and dreamers beyond the starlight, yet he pushed them aside. The blinded goddess lay just behind the veil, and he would soon be within her sightless halls, Mazak at his side. As he tried to push further onwards, something was not right. Rather than cold, deathless embrace, the void rejected him from the splendour of the outer dark. Cessair tried to step down from the altar, eventually crumbling in shock onto the nearby pew. So much work done, so much blood spilt, yet he was rejected from her embrace. He simply sat for a moment, racked with dismay. What more did she require? He thought back to all he had done. He'd travelled thousands of miles over so many years, yet since his arrival at Sinis, much of it was shrouded in fog. His last clear memory was knelt in front of the chapel, druids at his side. Since that first sacrifice, nothing seemed clear. He had crossed paths with death, and brought that same death to countless, yet it seemed it was just not enough. The altar crackled with energy, rousing Cessair from his despondence. It was a brief spark, likely a latent outburst, though within mere seconds it sparked again, a little more vigour on this occasion. Stepping forth towards the altar again, Cessair listened into the low hum. In an even more powerful spark of energy, a scroll was thrown from the altar, landing at his feet. Unravelling it, the page lay barren, a bitter disappointment in this strange riddle. Cessair returned with the scroll to his workshop, the one place seemingly untouched by the power of the shrine. Gazing longingly at the unblemished leaf of paper, he prayed for an easy answer to his final test. No answer came. After hours of hopeless prayer, Cessair found his way upstairs, into the bed that laid cold and disused since his arrival. Falling gently into a restless slumber, he tossed and turned, plagued by dreams of blood and the infinite dark. Drifting awake a few hours later, Cessair's dreams still permeated into the waking world. They hung in the air like an ethereal fog, and as he thought deeper, a solution arose in his mind. Returning back to the blank page, he drew his dagger and laid it on the table. This dagger alone had drawn so much power to Sinis, yet it had one more task to perform. Removing his gloves, Cessair took a moment before reaching for the dagger again. The page, now soaked in crimson, bore its secrets. Your blood completes the ritual. Cast your offering to the altar. Returning to the chapel, Cessair threw the scroll into the altar, falling through the void and disappearing. The earth shook once more as the stones extinguished themselves, painting the chapel in darkness, alleviated only by the slow glow of candlelight. There, in the cold embrace of sudden blackness, another spark flung yet another scroll from the void. Squinting through the dark cloak, barely aided by the candlelight, he managed to discern the words, "Cross the veil, follow your priest." Cessair approached the altar, that primal fear growing deeper, as did his anticipation. The void rejected him no longer, and he passed through. Cessair found himself upon a glassy plateau, vicious mountains flanking the sun rising eerily in the sky. There, Cessair knew what to do. His shadowy tome had instructed him of how to conduct himself in this realm. Drawing his dagger for the final time, Cessair rose from his knees and began his final prayer of obsessive veneration. The veil had parted, Sinis had risen, and the blinded goddess awaited his arrival. It was time.